All right, here we go. We are live. All right. Let's hold on. Okay, let's get this show on the road. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday, March 12th, 2021. Today we're talking about the iMac Pro's end of life. We're talking Fitness Plus's 3-month anniversary. The trial is almost up if you joined right at the beginning. And we're also diving into the latest Apple rumors because this is the iMore show. Joining me as always is iMore contributor Karen Freeman. Hey, Karen.
Hello.
And joining us today as our special guest is iMore writer Luke Filipovich. Hey, Luke.
Hello. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, great to have you on as always. So let's jump in. Just start with some news this week. The iMac Pro, which is really sort of a bridge device, I think, not extremely popular with people, but does have its own set of diehard fans. It seems like it's on its way out. It's listed as currently unavailable in the United States and Canada. Before that, it was sort of while supplies last. But yeah, it looks like, and now Apple, I think, is recommending going with the 2020 iMac if for your high-end Mac Pro needs. So yeah, it looks like it's on its way out.
I can't say I'm surprised. When I worked at the Apple store, I would say I never even came close to selling one. I don't think I ever had a customer express any interest in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
It definitely always seemed like like you said, like a stopgap product. Like the kind of, the high end sort of Mac people kind of needed something. The diehards needed something to get going, but the iMac Pro was never really what they wanted. They definitely wanted, like a more, the actual Mac Pro. So the iMac Pro was a bit of a weird product from launch, I think. But so it doesn't, it came out like 3 years ago now, right? 2017. So it makes sense that it's kind of nearing the end of its life cycle.
Yeah, it's never received a significant update. Mm-hmm. I think the most significant update it had is when the Mac Pro came out. Apple removed the 8-core processor option, I think, from the iMac Pro. And yeah, I do know it does have some diehard adherents, but it's not surprising that we're saying goodbye to it. The big sort of innovation with the iMac Pro, I think, was actually twofold. First of all, getting the space gray color into the iMac lineup at all, obviously.
Right.
But then there was the cooling system. The cooling system in the iMac Pro is different than the cooling system in other iMacs. It's sort of I think it's a dual chamber, like dual fan kind of cooling system that keeps those Xeon processors running right.
Yeah, I pictured it being in like Hollywood movie studios and places like that. Like not just like somebody's house.
Yeah, it's definitely. Sorry, 1 second, having some mic trouble.
Unless that somebody is, a professional filmmaker or something like that working from home, but it wasn't like an everyday consumer kind of product.
No, it definitely wasn't. Yeah, I'm not shocked. It is, I think it's a little sad. I always liked that there was a space gray iMac, but given recent rumors that might be on the horizon for the entire line, so who knows?
Yeah, and the fact that because there was a space gray iMac, there was also a space gray keyboard and mouse and all that other stuff. So anyone could buy the peripherals because they were just a few dollars more than the white.
Yeah, it took a while for the space gray peripherals to become independently purchasable, but I think that's something a lot of people were waiting for their space gray MacBook Pros, because the desktops are less popular than the laptops anyway, and then you've got this sort of niche thing that I think it was to tide people over until Apple could come out with the Mac Pro, because they didn't announce the iMac Pro until they had that meeting, I think in July 2017, where they're like, yes, a new Mac Pro, configurable Pro Mac is coming, but we'll also have other products to announce. And then at WWDC, they announced the iMac Pro.
Yeah, I just think when people want something very high end, they're going to want to put together the pieces exactly the way they want them.
Yeah, I mean, I love all-in-one computers. I really do. Like I've loved the iMac line, but the iMac Pro is I'm not the pro that needed the iMac Pro. So if I was going to get an iMac, it would just be, the regular one. And right. I think there's definitely a place for all-in-ones. But yeah, if you're a pro consumer, you're definitely building your own setup and you're having additional displays and right. You're kind of building it out kind of, piece by piece, a la carte, so to speak.
Exactly.
So, it was a bit of a weird product to begin with, but I understand why they did it. Like in the time where the lineup kind of needed a little bit of something to sort of appease some consumers that they were trying to get to.
Yeah.
And from everything I understand, it was good. It was a good computer.
No denying that it's a fantastic computer. It's just $5,000.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And there's nothing future-proof about it.
Right, exactly. Because again, it's an all-in-one. Can you even upgrade the RAM on that yourself? Because it's a different sort of RAM than just the SO-DIMM that Apple typically uses on the iMac. It's ECC. Is it ECC? Air correcting something or other that escapes my brain right now.
I mean, I can't. Maybe someone smart. Maybe someone smarter than me probably figured out a way. Yeah. But the all-in-ones are designed so that you aren't supposed to do that, from what I understand. So,
right.
Yeah. Like likely it's not an easy process, nor is it a process most people would probably undergo.
No, and nor should they.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to touch on that for a little bit. Because it's interesting. Does that mean new iMacs are imminent? We don't know. We really don't know at this point. I want to change speed here a little bit because we've got another it's more of a PSA, more / review, because Apple Fitness Plus, if you joined in on the original 3-month trial, that trial is up, I think, starting Monday.
Yeah, we're reminding you because it's not likely that Apple will.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Apple will be happy to just charge you for the next month or so.
But one of the reasons to have Luke on today, other than he is a great guest and we love having him on, is Luke has been sort of heads down on Apple Fitness Plus since launch. He's been sort of our leader on that. And today he's published his 3-month later thoughts. So Luke, what is your overall assessment of Apple Fitness Plus 3 months later?
Yeah, I mean, like in one word it's pretty great. I guess that's 3 words, but I can't even get one. How am I a writer again? Either way, yeah, it's pretty great for, especially this past year, kind of being stuck at home more. Gyms aren't always open depending on where you are, and restrictions and lockdowns and all sorts of things like that. That like, I know it kind of came at the right time for me, where I was really looking for something that would help me work out at home in some sort of fashion. And in my review, which you should go read at iMore.com, by the way, I talk about how like I don't have any heavy equipment. I live in a pretty small apartment. When I first started using the service, I had like absolutely no equipment. So I was just looking for classes that you could do without equipment. And there definitely are classes where you don't need anything. You just need, like they say, a yoga mat, which is kind of optional anyways. But you don't really need anything, and you can follow along and do the motions and do the exercises, no problem. What I did find though was once I just bought myself a little set of dumbbells, 15 pounders, nothing insane, but just enough that like, they were good weight for me. And also they actually opened up a lot more of the strength exercises and things, because a lot of them do use dumbbells. So that's something you need to know going in. And then obviously, because I didn't have, a rowing machine or cycling or a bike or a treadmill, I kind of obviously stayed away from those classes. I watched one. I once sat on the couch and watched one just to see what it was like, which was a weird experience. But Yeah, so it's I think overall, if you're looking for something and you kind of want to improve your overall fitness and you don't mind having a bit of a like you like variety, you like the options of being able to try different stuff. I think Apple Fitness Plus provides a really good opportunity for that. Obviously, working out is very individual for a lot of people. You know, if you're the person who likes to go to the gym and crush really heavy weights and do deadlifts and things like that, Apple Fitness Plus isn't really set up for that. That's not what it does. So that's probably not going to help you. If you are one of the people who really like the social aspect of the gym, which I know there are plenty of people who, you know, have gym buddies and go running on the track or whatever, that's also kind of absent from Apple Fitness Plus because it is obviously more of a just video-led classes. But the instructors are really great. That's one thing I really, really love. The instructors are fantastic. I think I was nervous going in. I'd never really done like video-led classes before. And I was just like, I don't know what to expect really. And the instructors are all like very friendly, very warm. They're really easy ways. They usually offer very easy ways to like modify the exercises if you want to go a little less intense or a little more intense. And they do a really good job of being, I feel like, inviting and giving really clear instruction. So like if you maybe, you know, if you're, excuse me, if you're following along on your iPhone, which sometimes can be a little small, I feel like the clear instructions that they give you are actually like pretty doable for you to figure out exactly what the motion that they're trying to get to. Yeah. And that's the one last thing I'd say too, is it's definitely, so you can use as the screen that you're looking at, you can use an iPhone, an iPad, or an Apple TV by using the fitness app. I would say the iPhone experience is definitely less than desirable. It kind of works in a pinch if you want, if you're on the go or something and you're in a hotel room or something and you want to, you know, bang out a quick workout, it'll work in a pinch, but it's really not the greatest experience. Like I definitely mostly used it on my Apple TV and found in my living room, and I found that worked out really well. And the iPad's not bad. Like an iPad has a big enough screen that is like, it's definitely a good portable option if you have an iPad and you want to bring that around. And the iPad's not a bad experience either. I mean, you have to find a stand, obviously, which you have to do for your iPhone too, but there's lots of different iPad stands out there. You can also makeshift one if you are crafty enough. Yeah, so I would say overall, like if you've been using the 3-month trial or the 1-month trial, if you didn't buy an Apple Watch, and you do enjoy the service, I think it's worth subscribing to. It keeps getting better. They keep adding new features like time to walk, which I really actually appreciate. And they keep adding new classes kind of like pretty consistently. So I never found that I repeated some classes just because I liked the workout that it gave me, but I never felt like I really had to. I always kind of felt like there was something sort of new to go with because there's just so many options. Like I don't really like yoga, but I even did some of the yoga classes because I was just like, I want to try something different today. And it kind of gives you that option, which I think is really, really good. If you haven't been liking Apple Fitness Plus, like you've already tried it and you haven't liked it, I would probably say then maybe wait and see if it adds more features you might like, because at this point I kind of feel like it's rolling and I'm not sure exactly what else they're going to add to it and what else, like other than more of the same stuff. So that's kind of my opinion. It's like, if you're liking it, I think it's a great service. If you haven't tried it yet, you should definitely give it a try and try that 1-month free trial and see if you like it, because I think it is a good way to work out at home.
So real talk, let's go around the room and let's say, like, are we actually going to renew our subscriptions? Because we're all coming up to the end of our 3-month free trial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I am. I've used it relatively consistently, and it's been good. I feel like, you know, I like to work out in kind of a more casual way. I'm not super into the fitness thing, which I probably should be a little more, but I feel like this gives me a good easy entry level. And when I think about it, $10 a month, or like 180 if you subscribe for the whole year, is a lot cheaper than a gym membership. And I don't really want to go to a gym right now. And honestly, I've never been a big fan of gyms. So I actually think it's a great service. Personally, for me, I've really, really loved it. I'm definitely subscribing for sure.
okay, Joe, how about you?
I do yoga now.
Oh,
So that's
good for you.
That's new for me. And this is the surface. I have yoga blocks. Like, this is how into this I am.
Wow.
I got yoga block because let's be clear, I can't bend all the ways that yoga wants me to bend. I can't.
Sure.
I can't bend that far yet, but I can bend down and touch the floor now, which is also fairly new for me. It's really about the back muscles, people. Flexibility. But yeah, I've loved it. And I'm already an Apple One Premier subscriber, and
Right.
I'm not leaving that. I'm not leaving,
Yeah.
so it's definitely worth that. And yeah, I'm loving it. Karen,
That's awesome.
what about you?
Well, I think if I were an Apple One subscriber, I would continue with it and I would continue using it. But since I'm not, no, I'm not going to pay the $10 a month for it. I think it's great. I think it's everything Apple promised and more. They keep rolling out new features and new classes. I think it's wonderful. But I have enough other ways to exercise. I don't feel like I need it. I don't feel like I need it for $10 a month. So I'm not saying that anybody else shouldn't. I'm just saying for me personally, I'm not going to.
I have one thought on a feature that Apple could, like a great actual feature that Apple could add. So the way that like the TV app works right now, like the TV fitness app is it's who's working out and you click your Apple Watch. I would love to see Apple implement ways that multiple people could use the same session with their Apple Watch. I mean, obviously multiple people could join you and do the workouts along with you, but they're not going to get the metrics. They're not going to get that workout logged. I would love to like have a class leader position, and that's the person whose subscription you're using, but then, your partner or a kid or whoever could just work out together, like in front of the TV or even on an iPad or iPhone.
So you mean people that are on the same account?
Not even on the same account, but like even in the same room, like register that there's more than one Apple Watch in there if there is,
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be like a nice thing. And I mean, like, I'm not entirely like the metrics in the top left corner are pretty, like they're a decent size. I think you'd have to like adjust that a little bit because you'd want to try and show like everybody's. But it could be like a rotating thing. I don't know, but
you could just do it down the side.
Yeah, that's true. You could just do it down the side too. Yeah, so that would be interesting. That would be actually a cool feature to be able to like sync up multiple Apple Watches and then follow along together would be cool. Great.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that one of the things that's really impressed me about Fitness Plus so far is just how solid it is out of the gate. Weren't really any. I mean, I'm sure there were issues for some people initially at launch in the first few days, but I don't think there have been any major hiccups since launch.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think that anyone who is eligible for a trial who hasn't tried it yet absolutely should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So if you're on that initial 3-month trial, just be aware that's coming to an end probably around Monday. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that charge, or happily accept it if you're sticking with Apple Fitness Plus. I have another PSA I wanted to get to today, and it's about the AirPods Max. So AirPods Max have received their first firmware update. And this is an, as ever, esoteric process to go through to actually update your AirPods Max. But this update seems to fix the battery issues that I and other people have been seeing. People since launch, AirPods Max owners have reported excessive battery drain while in the smart case, which is supposed to prevent that exact thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really working as intended. So yeah, I would see excessive idle battery drain on AirPods Max. And now that I've installed I've had the update installed, not so much. It's working as intended now. We love to see it. So I just want to put this out there. In order to update your AirPods Max by the light of the full moon and around a cauldron, you sacrifice an old set of first generation AirPods and then wave your AirPods Max around it. That's one method. The way I did it was I put my AirPods Max on, opened my iPhone so they connected. I looked I always find it's helpful for some reason to look at the current firmware number. Like, so you go into maybe the Bluetooth settings, hit the I button next to that, and scroll all the way down, and you should find it. And then you just I put the iPhone on power. I took the AirPods Max off, did not put them in the smart case, but I did connect them to power. And maybe 20, 30 minutes later, the firmware update had been installed on the day it came out.
Okay.
So but that's not the process. I don't say that these are the definite instructions to do it, because that's not the process everyone's used. And I know that's not the process everyone's used. So it's very, how this works, how AirPods get updated is not user controllable. There's not a button you can hit to update.
Right.
There are just things that you can do to sort of encourage the update. It's, probably some machine learning stuff that Apple's working with.
Will it happen on its own when your AirPods are in the case eventually?
I think it should. It probably will have. I probably requires you to connect your AirPods Max to power at some point.
But like if you just left them connected to power overnight, would it just happen?
I think it would. Yes, it should happen, but there are no guarantees in AirPod updating. But yeah,
it kind of makes me think that, like, why doesn't Apple have like an AirPod app? And when you connect your AirPods, you can like that, like kind of like the Watch app, right? That's how you update your Apple Watch. That's how you mess around with your Apple Watch settings. Why can't we have that for AirPods, right? Like if they're sticking with the AirPods line, seems like it would be a good thing.
That would just make too much sense,
right? And we could have adjustable EQs like other,
and that's why they don't do it.
That's why they don't do it.
Because you're not supposed to need that stuff,
right?
Especially with AirPods Max, it tunes to your ears. It does. I think it does similar stuff to HomePods, like the larger HomePods, where it uses computational audio. I don't know that it like scans your ears,
right,
with sound, but the way my AirPods Max sound probably sound different to, say, Christine's,
right?
Because the way they fit exactly on our heads is different.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so try and update your firmware if you're having battery problems, for sure.
Yeah, go through that.
Joe's having a little mic
issue. All right. Can everybody hear me?
Now we hear you. Yeah, I lost you for a second there, but now I can.
Yeah, I unplugged my mic cable and plugged it back in because I'm hearing some popping on my audio. So apologies, everyone, if you're hearing some popping. That's probably me. All right. So that's the news we know. Let's go on to the news we don't know. All right. So March 23rd. This seems like it's the date. It makes a lot of sense. It's not going to be this Tuesday. It's not going to be March 16th. Unless Apple announces something right about now, because we don't actually have to book flights and be places for it. Right. It can be virtual. So they can basically anytime the week before, I think Apple could announce anything. Hopefully not Monday would be my request. Not Monday for a Tuesday event. That would send me into a spiral of panic.
Yeah, I think they'll probably announce it early next week.
Yeah, they usually do. Even with these virtual events, they've usually given us a week of lead time on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, March 23rd is looking like the date. That's also a Tuesday. Yeah. I gotta put finally on this one. I've been waiting for this for a while. The first Apple event of the year. And now it's time. Are we anticipating? Are we excited for anything that we might see? We're looking at AirTags, maybe finally, possibly, actually. iPad Pros.
I'm most excited about the AirTags, I think. I'm just really excited to see how they could compare to the other trackers on the market.
Yeah, I would say I'm excited for AirTags the most, but I'm also interested to see what like the AirPods 3 or the new baseline AirPods, what those might entail, because we've seen some leaks and we've seen some rumors, but no one 100% like knows. So I'm interested to see what those might do.
Yeah, it's looking now like they're not going to have the silicone ear tips, the interchangeable ear tips,
right?
anymore.
But they do have a slightly different design. They're not just like
right.
AirPods. They are like a little more contoured, like they kind of
right.
a little bit more.
But we're still going back to that. It's one size fits all, and if you're not the all, then too bad.
That's such an odd choice to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, we really have to wait to judge it until we see them. Yeah. But if they come without the ear tips and they still adopt the AirPods Pro like design, it strikes me as strange, honestly.
Yeah, but I guess that's how they're saving money, because they don't have to include all those extra ear tips.
Yeah.
Luke, are you an AirPods user?
I'm not. No, I have tried AirPods out, but I don't actually own a pair of my own. I've tried all of them except the Max. I haven't gotten my hands on a Max yet, but I will maybe at some point. Somebody will let me try it.
Would you? Looking at this potential design, would you be excited to get a pair of these AirPods 3?
Yeah, I think more so than the regular AirPods. Like even I'm slightly disappointed that they wouldn't include the ear tips, but I maybe kind of understand if they're really trying to keep that Pro moniker that they like to use for various things. But with the AirPods Pro, they're really trying to, like, I guess, because not only do you have ANC or active noise cancellation on the AirPods, you also would just get better sound because you have more sound isolation from the ear tips. Which I guess if they're going to keep that off the regular AirPods, I suppose I can understand that. Yeah, I would say like these appeal to me more than regular baseline AirPods. I do think they'll, if you have, like as Karen mentioned, if you have a proper kind of, the ear shape that they're going for, I think it'll fit a little better, because I have had trouble with like regular AirPods falling out of my ears just because they don't quite fit as snug. So I'd have to like try them out, I guess, and see really how they sort of fit in my ears. But I would be like more inclined to get these the way that we think that they're going to look now than I would be to get like original AirPods.
Yeah, that's interesting. Stephen Huxtable in the chat points out that there is at least one image of them out there with ear tips. And,
interesting.
I mean, honestly,
that was older though.
It was older.
Yeah. The first pictures that were coming out had the ear tips, and the newer ones don't have it. So I don't know if that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but
yeah, nothing's confirmed, and we won't know until they're announced, obviously.
Yeah, nothing is confirmed until Apple announces it. We don't even know if we're going to see AirPods at this event. It could come later. Mm-hmm. We've heard multiple time frames for AirPods this year. We've heard first half of 2021. I was going to say 2015. Wow, what a week. It was the first half of 2021 versus second half of 2021, and yeah. So I think it's going to be. I think what we're going to see is a split. So we're going to see AirPods 3 this time of year, maybe even at this event, and then we're going to see AirPods Pro 2 maybe at closer to the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah. It does strike me as odd that they might not include tips. But at the same time, I think there's still a chance that they could, and that what we've been seeing is just, shell, like, because we've seen shells of the supposed AirPods 3, but of course the shells wouldn't include tips. I don't know what these renders are being based on,
right?
Just yet.
Yeah, and just in terms of timing, it kind of makes sense to release the AirPods 3 now, and then the next AirPods Pro closer to the holiday season, because then like the upscale gift can be the AirPods Pro, and then it would still be a very cool gift to get the AirPods 3. They would be probably discounted a little bit by then. Mm-hmm. So
especially at retailers like Best Buy and Amazon, and
right, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Apple's not going to discount them.
No, not at Apple, but but at other places. I'm just thinking ahead to Black Friday and gift giving season.
And I think the thing that we all really now for real this time expect to see at this event is AirTags. And we've discussed AirTags pretty much to death. But one thing I constantly wonder about these is, what are they going to cost? What is it going to cost me to get an AirTag? You know, because we've got competitors like the Tile Mate, which I think is probably the mainstream competitor, and that's $25 per little tracker.
Yeah, and another thing I'm very interested to see is if there's going to be a separate subscription fee for it, because the Tile actually I just discovered. I'm working on a review for the Tile Slim. You can use it completely for free, but there are a number of features that you only get if you subscribe, and there's 2 subscription tiers. So you know, I don't remember the price offhand, like $10 a month or something like that. So to get all the features.
Yeah.
So AirTags, like, what's the upfront cost going to be, and what's the ongoing cost going to be?
Yeah.
And then there's batteries.
Then there's batteries.
Are the batteries replaceable, or do you have to replace the whole thing when the battery dies?
Yeah. Yeah. See, there are a lot of unknowns. Now, I would assume that they're not user replaceable batteries. I would assume that these are things you're meant to charge, but could you take it into an Apple store and get a battery replacement like you can with an iPhone? I mean, maybe not, given, whatever the price, depending on the price.
I find it hard to believe that there would be a replaceable battery that you're expected to go to the Apple store for. It's like the iPhone, for example. Yes, you can technically replace the battery, but it's not something you're really meant to do. The battery is supposed to last for the life of your phone. Replacing the battery is sort of a last ditch sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah.
It's not a normal part of the iPhone experience.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm interested in the battery component for sure. Like, because their Tile sort of does the same thing. They have some where they're just like, this will last you a year and a half, and then you got to get a new one. But then I think it's the Mate Pro that does have a replaceable battery that you can replace yourself.
Right.
And that it's like a watch battery, or a CR
lasts like a year or something.
Yeah, and it lasts like a year or something like that too. So I'll be interested to see where Apple goes, because and on the pricing too, it's like I've been nervous. I hope that they don't have a subscription fee. I hope. There's just so many subscriptions these days.
I know.
But I mean, I do expect them to be, because let's face it, Apple always kind of prices their stuff a little bit more expensive than the competition, for lots of different reasons, X, Y, and Z. But they're usually pretty good at not pricing themselves completely out of contention. You know what I mean? Even though some of their products might be, more, more expensive, they're never like completely out of contention. So, but I do worry with this, because I feel like because it's almost like the cheapest Apple product we'll almost likely see.
Right.
Outside of like a cable.
Yeah, outside of like cables or accessories.
Right, right.
As an Apple product, it's probably the cheapest thing that we'll see. So it's curious, because there is a bit of this like, when you're not expecting to spend that much, how much is a little more are you okay spending on the Apple version of it, right? Like, where is that line? So I'll be interested to see where they actually place these in terms of cost.
Yeah. Oh, and I was curious about Tile charges $3 a month for their premium subscription, and their second tier is like $8 and change per month. So if they're charging like that, I mean, Apple could do easily $10 a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Apple offer some of the things that Tile does sort of free, with the purchase of your
right.
With the purchase of your AirTag. And so you'll get some of the things that Tile charges a premium for, you'll get with that purchase, but then there might be other sort of advanced features. And, I have to think they'll do things like roll that into Apple One. Like, if you're an Apple One subscriber, you don't pay an additional subscription.
I would assume so.
I think, and maybe they even keep that just Premiere only. I think for a while, you'll be able to count on rolling any new subscriptions into Apple One Premiere before they start raising the price, and eventually it'll be $40 a month and then $50.
Yeah, they're going to raise the price if they keep adding stuff into it.
Yeah, totally. But they, now that they have this bundle, they probably want to emphasize that this is the thing that you buy to get all of the stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
But yeah, I think maybe they'll use that to push Apple One stuff. Maybe certain things will be Apple One exclusive, but all tiers. And I just I go back and forth on whether I think Apple will charge subscription for this or not. Maybe there'd be a subscription, not exactly Apple Care. That is just a easy replacement. You actually lose an AirTag, it goes dark. It's like, oh well, whoops. Here's your replacement because you pay the subscription.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's included in the higher tier of the Tile subscription.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, thinking that the Mate starts at $25 US. The Tile Mate style starts at $25. I would imagine Apple starts AirTags at no lower than 35.
Yeah, I was going to say 40.
Yeah, 40 also feels like a realistic target.
Yeah. But again, it's all going to depend on Stephen pointed out in the comments, like we have to figure in the price of replacing the battery, and all of that has to be accounted for. That can affect the price. So
the special tool Apple had to engineer to replace it in and
out. Oh gosh,
that's what they do. Well, that they say they did. It turns out it's just like a bottle opener.
Yeah. And most definitely, I think you will need to have an iPhone in order to use AirTags.
Oh yeah,
I don't think there's even a question.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would be shocked if you could use it with anything else.
Yeah, Samsung just released earlier this year released their own smart tracking tags, the Galaxy Smart Tags, I think they're called. And as far as I know, you still need a Galaxy device to use those. So, I mean,
that's fair.
You think Apple's going to do anything different?
No. No way.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think companies like Tile and Chipolo are going to remain like the defaults for cross-platform groups, families, people who want something cheaper than an AirTag. But let's do this, Apple. Let's hit go on this. We're tired of waiting. I think we're all ready.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, March 23rd should be that AirTag. So what are we? Let's take a look at what we might be. Everything we might be getting it. So AirTags, AirPods, new iPad Pro, which will probably is rumored to have a mini LED screen that might only be on the 12.9-inch model. But then there's one last thing that we might be expecting, and that is an Apple TV.
Yeah.
I feel like Apple needs to do something really different this time. Not just another iteration of what we've already had.
Karen, do you have an Apple TV?
I don't.
Yeah. Luke, do you have an Apple TV?
Yeah, I do. Not the newest one, but I have like the Apple TV HD, I guess they called it, the 1080p one.
Yeah, I've got an Apple TV 4K, which is the most recent model that came out in 2017. And I use it a lot, and I keep wondering what's an Apple TV going to be? What's the next Apple TV going to be? The Apple TV 8K? I don't know that we're there yet. First of all, I don't think we have the content ready. But also, who really has an 8K TV right now? So is this just going to be a chip refresh to keep it up to date for newer software and Apple Arcade stuff? What do we think we're going to see here?
I'm inclined to believe one or two things are going to happen. Either, which is funny because I feel like these are the only options, but I think they're either going to change up the format and maybe actually come out with like an Apple TV stick rather than an actual box, which could be an interesting thing. It also could bring the price down, which I think would be great. More people would be inclined to buy a stick rather than, a box. Or it honestly might just be kind of a chip update, to be honest. And maybe with a better remote, because everyone hates the Siri remote. Like, get rid of it. Do something better. The Siri remote's trash, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's.
But I feel like those are kind of the only two options, and the one that excites me way more would be a TV stick that brings down the cost for the consumer, which would be great, but it also lets you do things like use the fitness app on your TV, so you can do that, access Apple Arcade games, on your TV when you want to do that, and it's kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. It'll probably likely be a bit of a cheaper product, and it also will provide the access to the services that people are going to want on an Apple TV.
Yeah, I keep thinking about it. So when Apple debuted the Apple TV 4K, it came with an Apple A10X chip, which at the time was the top of the line Apple chip. It was what was in the iPad Pro 2017 lineup, and so it was a powerful machine when it came out. Closest thing to a desktop iOS device you could get. You couldn't really use it like that, and only iOS family device that supported a trackpad at the time. But with a stick, I don't think we'd see an A14X in it. I don't think we'd see the top of the line chip. Maybe this, we could get like an iPhone SE situation where it's, the A13. Maybe it'll be the similar guts to the iPhone SE 2020. And it's
the Apple TV SE.
They've got.
Would they release two? Would they release like a stick that's the SE, and when they release like a box?
Maybe.
Man.
Yeah, and so they released the stick for like $89, so lower than the entry price for an Apple TV has been, at least in a very long time.
Lower. I think they need to get closer to the price of the Amazon Fire Stick.
I'd love to see them at $50 personally.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But one of the things that I truly appreciate about the Apple TV, having used some other streaming devices, is the smoothness, the speed. Like it is easy to use, and it's not a hassle.
Yeah.
For the most part. There are certain things that are definitely a hassle looking at you remote.
I think they're going to get rid of the remote.
Yeah. And
I just think that the remote is inelegant. And I think, why do we need a remote? You could just have an app on your phone, your iPad.
Well, I think that's also sort of an inelegance. I mean, because there is an app. They have a remote app.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even an app anymore. It's a feature.
Right. They got rid of they actually got rid of the app. You open Control Center.
Yeah, it's baked right into iOS. I don't remember when they did that, but iOS 14, it's definitely there. So,
but
baked right in. So why do we need a remote? It's just another thing to lose.
I think in terms of the remote, it would be, they could do some things to improve it. Like, one of the sort of complaints about it is all the buttons are centrally located.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can be hard to orient if you just pick it up without looking at it, unless you're really just feeling around for that menu button that has the white ring around it. If you have that version of the remote, that's like the only improvement that they've made since they launched the tvOS family of devices. But yeah, I think they could move the buttons. First of all, move the buttons down a bit just to make it sort of lopsided, sort of asymmetrical. I know, embrace intentional asymmetry, Apple, do it. But yeah, I think we could see something with strictly 32 gigabytes of storage, maybe even down to 16, an A13 chip, and it just hides behind it hides in the HDMI port of your television,
of your TV.
Yeah, like the Chromecast, even even now that Google has a Chromecast that has Google TV on it instead of just streaming in instructions from your phone or other device, it's an actual thing unto itself. I think that's a good template for Apple to follow. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a dongle. I don't even think it'd be a stick. I think it'd be a dongle a la the new Chromecast. But then I actually also expect them to still do a box that is more expensive.
Yeah,
It has more storage.
Apple wouldn't use the word stick anyway.
No.
Because that sounds too close to Amazon's.
Yeah. That's interesting. I never thought about like doing a 2-tiered approach, but I guess they've been doing it for so many of their products now, right? Trying to make sure they hit that kind of budget market.
Yeah.
So it definitely makes sense, and especially within how they've been releasing products recently. So I kind of like that idea. I think it'd be great. Like having, for lack of a better term, a stick or a cast, or I don't know, whatever non-Apple term wants to use for it. That gives you AirPlay on your hotel room TV if you want to take it with you on a trip or whatever, right? Like it opens up a lot. It opens up a lot, not having to have a box that that needs to sit there, that needs a power cable and a HDMI cable and an Ethernet cable if you feel like using that, and
just
all sorts
of cable.
Things. Yeah, just one port. You just gotta stick it into. I like that. I like that idea a lot.
And actually, you bring that up. The Apple TV as we know it right now has been the Apple TV 4K has been kind of stripped down versus the Apple TV HD, where it doesn't have this doesn't have like an optical port on it for optical audio, which I think the Apple TV HD did have, and if it didn't, like the Apple TV 3, the pre-tvOS ones, they did. And maybe what Apple would do with the box is it'd be more of a, an Apple TV Pro, if you would, like a more serious, home theater enthusiast streaming box.
That's true, and then they could bring back things like the optical cable or port and
they could charge even more. It starts at $199.
Yeah. No, I could see that if they want to split it into 2 tiers and make them very, very distinct, like not just a chip and a form factor, but more of a chip, form factor, and additional kind of features or ports, or even more ports, like maybe you have multiple HDMI ports if you have multiple screens set up or things like that. So
right now, how easy is it to tie in your HomePods to the Apple TV?
It
is very easy,
and it's gotten easier.
Okay, I was going to say that would be good, but I guess it already is. So
they recently they I want to say it was with iOS and tvOS 14.3, they added full support for making your HomePods the default sound system for your Apple TV. In addition to that, they gave HomePods the ability to do surround sound stuff, and even replicate Dolby Atmos. And now this is the standard big old HomePod, not the Mini. The Mini doesn't have that kind of hardware. But if you especially if you have 2 HomePods, they now sound so much better. I think they sync better, because I do. That is actually my audio setup for my Apple TV here. I think they sound a lot better. Apple did some great work here.
I feel like they're going to keep that going with the if they do split the Apple TV line, they'll keep that going with the Apple TV, the bigger box, Pro, whatever you want to call it, and then maybe with the stick or the SE or whatever, the lower tier Apple TV, maybe they wouldn't have that kind of compatibility.
Stephen Perry in the chat has the wild idea of what if they built the next Apple TV into the standard size HomePod to make them one product. And while I think that's a very interesting idea, I'm not sure they'd put the required port panel on the back of the HomePod like that. I would love it. I would love to see that. But
that would be fun. The only problem is then you can't put it far from your TV. I mean, the idea of HomePods is you can put them in different corners of your room and get this beautiful stereo effect.
Well,
whereas it has to be right next to your TV.
I would imagine that the idea would be you could just use it as a HomePod, but if you needed a streaming box, you could then plug that HomePod into the TV, and it's both speaker and Apple TV.
Okay.
Interesting.
But that would certainly be maybe the wildest Apple product in years. The combination streaming box, high-end speaker.
For sure.
That way you could keep the HomePod at like $399, and then the Apple TV box starts at $399 too. the average sale price on the Apple TV would skyrocket. Yeah. But here's my question for both of you. Do you think we'll actually see it this time around? Like, is now the time? Do we think this could, like, with these virtual events, the idea of sort of a grab bag doesn't really, like a grab bag event doesn't really strike me. They could produce a video on a new Apple TV if they want, if there was enough to talk about. Same with like AirPods, and like from what we're hearing, this sounds kind of like a mishmash event. Whereas I think if this were last fall, we'd be guessing that these would be an event in March, an event in April, and maybe even in May. But maybe I just cursed us. That's what I did. So yeah, do we think Apple TV now?
I mean, it has been a while.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it necessarily has to be this month. I mean, it could be next month or the month after. But it does seem like we're due.
Yeah, I would agree. It definitely seems like Apple TVs need an update. Even if it does just end up being a chip update and it's pretty boring, like even that's going to have its uses for sure. Like as somebody who really likes Apple Arcade quite a bit, and I enjoy playing the Apple Arcade games on my TV. Some of them, because I haven't, I don't have the 4K version. I have an even older version. There's definitely some that just like don't run like they should. They are really stuttery, and I mean it depends on the game. Some of the more simple puzzle games are like they run great. Some of the more like complicated adventure games don't run so great. So that's something that like I would appreciate a chip upgrade at this point. It's been enough years that even if it's that boring, I probably would be the person that maybe would look into that. But so I definitely think it's time. Whether we'll get it, like we said, this March event is turning out to be kind of a bit of a hodgepodge of a bunch of different things, and and like little things, like significant, but like not, like. I mean, I guess if the iMacs come, that's pretty significant. So I don't know. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where this event goes. Is it literally going to be very product focused, or is it actually going to be more services / maybe one product focus, and we'll start getting other stuff in the coming months? We're not really sure. It seems like they have a lot of stuff in development right now that's very close to being ready.
So
it's not
already good.
Yeah, if it's not already legitimately ready, so it's like I guess they're just picking their timeline, where they want things, how they want to announce things, and whatnot. So.
Yeah, I feel like there were some things that they maybe wanted to announce last year that they felt like they didn't have a good time to announce, like AirTags, like this Apple TV update. Mm-hmm. Rumor is this Apple TV update has just kind of been sitting there for a while, which leads me to believe that this is more of a chip-focused update.
Right.
But even if it was a chip-focused update with the big surprise is, it's got a lower starting price, that I'm in. At this point, I'm in for that. But yeah, if all of the stuff that is rumored to come at this event actually does come at this event, it feels very strange to me. I mean, AirTags having its own event, that would also be weird. So AirTags and iPad Pro, iPad refreshes are kind of a spring thing anyway, and they have been, whether it's been Pro or Air or Mini. So that wouldn't surprise me. Having AirTags come along with that also makes sense, but once outside of that, I don't know. It just starts to feel strange.
Well, spring is only just beginning, so we could have a couple of events. So everything we're talking about could really be spread over a couple events.
Yeah, like especially for example, like AirPods. They've released AirPods just on their own plenty of times, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like at least twice that I can think of where they just released AirPods.
They only had one event where they announced a set of AirPods, and that was the first one. AirPods 2 got announced in a press release. AirPods Pro got announced in a press release. AirPods Pro got announced in a press release.
And so did AirPods Max. Right? So I that's one thing where it's like, AirPods 3 might be sitting on the line ready to go, but maybe they won't announce it yet because they're going to give it and then maybe it'll just come in a couple weeks in a press release on a Monday or whatever.
That would make
sense. That wouldn't be out of the ordinary, that's for sure.
I think we all really expect an event because of last fall where they did those hyper focused pre-recorded events, and they were so good and they got so much good press out of those events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know what to expect. We're coming down to the end of it here, but before we go, I also I wanted to talk about one more rumor, and it's about the iPhone 13 because it strikes me as interesting, a little odd, and it's just this very small detail about the theoretical, still at this point, iPhone 13, and it's about Face ID. The Face ID lens on the iPhone 13 might be plastic instead of glass.
I don't even get it.
What? Why?
What?
What for? What is this? We also have.
I don't quite understand. Like separate from the glass. Like just a plastic part in the middle of the glass screen.
Yeah. What would be the idea here?
Let's just discount that one.
Yeah, it's but I mean, the only reason I don't is because it's from Ming Chi Kuo, and
he's pretty good.
The transmitter. Okay, so this is about the Face ID transmitter lens. So this wouldn't be the camera lens, because the actual camera, the front-facing camera, the FaceTime camera, as Apple has sometimes called it, isn't actually a technical part of the setup. That the Face ID module is really the dot projector and the infrared sensor,
right,
and the processors for those to actually look at the shape of your face. It's how it sees you in the dark without any trouble. But yeah, the transmitter lens has previously used glass to avoid deformation issues due to heat that is generated from the lasers that scan your face, which is, still wild that we get to say that about a phone. But apparently improvements in the coating technology mean that they can go with plastic for this year's iPhone. I would imagine its cost comes down to cost.
I'm having trouble picturing what part of the phone is actually plastic.
Yeah, so I don't even know. See, this is where my technical knowledge is starting to fail me. I don't even know what the transmitter lens is, but I just feel like this feels like a downgrade almost.
Yeah.
Or like would be, but I don't know that it would be one that we have to necessarily worry about unless that coating starts. The coating isn't as good as they think it is. But yeah, it's a strange one.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Apple would downgrade its phone that way. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like once again, my technical knowledge maybe isn't up to par here, but like on that, the infrared or the transmitter, like, is there something covering it that's before, like, on, like, that the screen is on top of? Because is it just talking about that, like, inner covering that doesn't really matter at all, or is it actually talking like at the top of the phone? Are we going to have a plastic part in the middle of all the glass? Like, that's.
I think it's behind the glass. It would be behind the glass of the display.
Well, what is it made? It's currently made out of glass.
Yeah, it's currently
glass
made out of
behind glass
because it's more durable to heat. It's more durable against heat.
I got it. Okay. Right. Well, I guess that makes more sense. But then, like, who would even notice?
Yeah, exactly. Why is it very small change? It's probably just cost then. If that's
yeah, it just struck me as just a very weird thing to change of all things.
I mean, that's like saying, oh, well, this wire is going to be blue now instead of red, like inside the phone. Like, who cares?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There are many other things about the iPhone 13 that I think would definitely merit inclusion. Like this morning, there was a report that indeed there may very well be Touch ID under the screen, which I think is a rumor that had died down recently, but now Barclays is revving it up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I find more interesting.
Yes, and good. I would like to see that, and not not in the button. I think go wild with this, Apple. Put it in the screen.
Yeah, I don't mind if it's in the button. I like the idea of having both Face ID and Touch ID.
Yeah. Even with this sort of stopgap measure that they have in iOS 14.5, where you've got the mask support now. If you have an Apple Watch, you can do a Face ID unlock even when you're wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Which, We're
Yeah,
expecting that to go public in the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's nice too. I think it's nice to have options.
Options are always good and welcome.
This
All right. We've run down to it. This is a fun hour, packed hour. Lots of stuff to talk about. We talked about Apple TV for a while. Probably the most people have talked about Apple TV since
2017.
There we go. Yeah. All right, everybody. That's our show for this week. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live and participated in the comments. You guys are always fun and insightful with your comments and your questions. The idea of a Apple TV / HomePod hybrid chimera device really spoke to us, I think. I want to say thanks to everyone who's going to listen to us later in their podcatcher of choice. Of course, we do this all for the listeners. So it's, great to know that all of you are out there listening and or watching. I want to thank Jim Metzendorf. Jim, I think you're going to have a little extra work to do on my audio this week. So thank you for everything that you do to make us sound great. Luke, thanks for stopping by the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always good to have you. Everybody watch out for that Apple Fitness Plus subscription lapse. And so thanks everybody. It's been a great show, and we will see you later.